I definitely have fetishes.
In order for sex to be really enjoyable, there has to be some level of shame involved.
These chicks are hot, and I'm digging on it.
And you would sort of rest your legs like he's an ottoman, a human ottoman.
I tied up Rihanna for her music video, S&M.
In a way, you performed your own inquisition.
A lot of people think that because I'm a pro-dom, I walk around in latex all the time or high heels, but I don't.
And if I screw up, will I be punished? I'm too lazy to do a podcast, so I appear on other people's podcasts. This is PodCRASH with that Chris Gore. Welcome to the show. I am that Chris Gore. This is PodCRASH. This is the show where you get to hear me as a guest on a different podcast every week, which gives you the opportunity to discover new podcasts. It gives me the chance to talk about a variety of topics. This week, I'm crashing a show called the S&M Rants. Oh, it's going to be an interesting show. Before we get to that, let me get these plugs out of the way so we can launch right in. I will be doing another live PodCRASH at IO West on Saturday, October 27th at 7 p.m. That's at IO West, 6366 Hollywood Boulevard. We're going to have a very special Halloween-themed edition of PodCRASH. Tickets are available at ioimprov.com/west. I will also be at the Los Angeles Podcast Festival. That's October 12th through the 14th in Santa Monica. It's going to be Podcastapalooza, and I will be moderating some panels, and I'll be appearing on a podcast or two. I think I might record an episode of PodCRASH at the Los Angeles Podcast Festival, October 12th through the 14th. You can get more information at lapodfest.com. Also, our YouTube channel. If you've gone to youtube.com/PodCRASH and you've checked out the videos there, we are expanding our live videos, our little library of live videos that we're posting there. We're also having a PodCRASH video contest. All you do is you sing the theme song for PodCRASH, and just after you're done, look into the camera and say, "There's just too many podcasts." You can post it on YouTube, or you can email it to PodCRASH with that Chris Gore at gmail.com. In fact, you could email the video, and you can also send us questions. And by us, I mean me, or if I happen to have a guest like I do today, I'll be introducing her in just a moment. PodCRASH with that Chris Gore at gmail.com. Send me your questions. I will respond to those. Sitting next to me today, and a perfect special guest for this episode where we're talking about the S&M Rants, is Nikki Nefarious. If you don't know who Nikki Nefarious is, you're probably not in the BDSM scene. And Nikki is an instructor. She's a pro-dom. And she's also the star of, I didn't even know you were in this DVD, Nikki. Tell me about this DVD.
This DVD, it's called Rubber Bordello. And Rubber Bordello is pretty unique in that it is a black and white, silent adult film.
And you told me that I've never even heard of this, but you said, as you were telling me about the DVD, you said, it's not really porn, but there is a scene where a guy, what happens to a guy in it?
Well, essentially, I'm not going to give away too many spoilers, but one of our Rubber Bordello slaves gets in trouble and is punished by me and the other mistress of the house, Soma Snake Oil, who is my partner in crime in the movie. And we get to do a fun, sexy, kinky latex double penetration scene on him.
Wait, is that? I don't even see how that's possible, but
it's very possible, and it's kind of funny to watch. Very painful if you're the receiving end.
Okay, so now one of the things that you do also, I mean, you're a pro-dom, so you've got. What is one of the common misconceptions people have about that profession? Like, what do people, that are like outside of it think? They think immediately that, they probably have an idea in your mind that it's not really like that. Tell me about that.
A lot of people think that because I'm a pro-dom, I walk around in latex all the time or high heels, but I don't. I am typically in jeans and T-shirts. I'm also a big old prude. I'll be the first to admit it. I never get naked or nude or anything like that. It's definitely a misconception.
What about the world? You also teach courses. I think there was some S&M Fest or something that you were teaching some courses at. What are some of the courses that you teach, and then what are some of the basics that you teach in those courses?
Basically, I teach a plethora of fetish lifestyle courses but I specialize in rope bondage lessons, specifically the rope bondage certification courses, which at the moment it's the only one of its kind. And I teach lifestylers or professionals or even production companies the safe, proper way to do decorative rope bondage.
Wow. So you could not only do bondage and tie people up, you could also probably work in the Navy because you really need to, don't you need to learn like certain kinds of rope knots when you're in the Navy? That's my understanding.
Actually, that's also a misconception.
Really?
In the Navy, you do have to learn a lot of knots. But when it comes to shibari, which is traditional Japanese rope bondage, it came from kanbaku. Basically, it was a martial arts called Hojo Jutsu. Essentially, you would capture your slaves and tie them up, but they had a really strict definition of honor, so they wouldn't even use a single knot, not even on a prisoner. So you really don't use knots in bondage.
Wow. And also, I kind of feel like I got a little history lesson there.
Right?
In a way.
Exactly. The only, I guess, exception, you can do decorative rope bondage knots if you want to, but it's not part and parcel of it.
Wow. This is, see, I'm learning something. And to me, I have always had a fascination with the world of fetish and S&M stuff. And just because it's sort of like, for me, I feel like my palate when it comes to food is very pedestrian. I like macaroni and cheeseburgers are good too. So when it comes to food, I have very pedestrian taste. When it comes to sex, I kind of feel like, well, if you can do all this stuff, I mean, and also having been in, I'm sort of a serial monogamous, and I prefer long-term relationships because after a while you kind of run out of things to do. I've never run out of things to do. I kind of feel like I'm always discovering something new, which is why your courses just seem so fascinating to me.
Well, I really appreciate that. I really love teaching the classes. It's a lot of fun. It really helps me to get in touch with my students because when I'm not teaching bondage, I'm doing it for production companies. For example, as you might know, I tied up Rihanna for her music video, S&M.
I did not know that, but now having had no interest previously in Rihanna, now I actually want to see that video. Oh my God, that's amazing.
You should. She's super cute. She's dressed up in all pretty colors, and I used my hand-dyed pink ropes on her that the Hard Rock Cafe actually bought.
Wow. Now, so I'm curious, what is the typical person that attends one of your courses? Like when they go to one of your courses, is it like a married couple that's like, we like to spice things up in the bedroom? Is it someone considering joining the Navy? Like what are the people that come to your classes?
I actually have had a couple of military people come to my classes. For the most part, these are regular people who just like to get kinky. Maybe they've been together for a long time and they're looking to spice things up. Or maybe they're a professional dom and they're wanting to expand their skill set.
Well, it's weird, yeah, because there's definitely, like, at least from what I've observed, and when I say observed, only what I know from videos and on the internet, or from girlfriends that have expressed an interest. But, like, there's definitely a whole host of, like, and there are even safety issues that have to be addressed, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like you could, I mean, I don't know about any cases of this, but certainly with the types of things that are done, you could probably really severely injure, if not kill someone.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've heard of really bad instances involving permanent nerve damage and facial paralysis, facial surgery because of a faulty suspension that resulted in a fall.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
wow.
it can be really dangerous out there.
Wow. Now, you're going to actually listen to some of the clips with me for this show, the S&M Rants, and you'll be able to provide your expertise and your commentary as we listen to these clips together. But where can people find you, like, on the internet? I want to make sure that and your website.
My website is MissNikkiNefarious.com, MSNikkiNefarious.com.
And that's Nikki, and then Nefarious, and then what's I'm sure you have a Twitter.
I do. I have a Twitter and a Facebook, Nikki Nefarious.
Oh well, I'm just gonna Google that, Nikki, Nikki Nefarious. Okay, so I appeared on a show called the S&M Rants. And in the S&M Rants is hosted by Shane Burley and Monica Hamburg. And they do the show where they talk about a lot of aspects of sexuality. We didn't really talk about that so much on the show, which is why I wanted to have you on. But we talked about, they had me on a segment that was called Fucktard of the Week, where we talked about just people in the news that are idiots. Like, for example, if you tied a knot incorrectly during a session, you might be looked on as a complete idiot. But Nikki and I are gonna listen to the show, and she's gonna tell me what she thinks about this. So here it is, the S&M Rants, hosted by Shane Burley and Monica Hamburg. Give it a listen. Hello.
Hi, Chris.
Hey. I was anticipating your call. I thought that was you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I think that sometimes you get a really crazy sound and you don't know where it's coming from, and you're like, I think Monica's calling.
Well, it's weird. If you're like me, speaking of crazy sounds, it's one of those weird things where it's like, have you ever done this where you're coming home with your partner and you're both really drungry and you're thinking like, oh, we got to get some drunk food. So you pick up like, I don't know, just some In-N-Out burger. You know, in LA, we have In-N-Out burger. You eat that stuff, then you get into bed and you're like, I don't know, we've just eaten this fast food. I got onion breath. We're going to have sex. We're going to play. What are we going to do? And then those weird sounds sort of just start coming out of your stomach and you're you can hear like an air bubble traveling through your intestines or back. I'm not talking about farting here. I'm just talking about general growling sounds and weird sounds that your stomach makes when it's filled with beer and meat.
That was the worst sex I ever had. You chowed down, drunk. I at the time was like, I should just go to sleep. I don't think I should be awake right now. I should really just pass out. And then 20 minutes later, she's like, hey, let's totally get it on. And I'm like, no, we just went to, I think it was McDonald's or Burger King or something. And I said, yeah, no, I don't really think so. And so she starts getting all frisky and she starts going down on me. And then next thing I know, she's puking all over my cock. It was just awful. Absolutely awful.
Oh my God. Well, what's so funny is you just described probably 3 sexual fetishes in there, because I know there's one for vomiting.
Yes.
There's a specific one for vomiting. I'm not sure what it's called. And then just some sort of eating thing. It seems like every time I always think I know everything about weird sexual fetishes. And then I turn around and there's like 15 more. There's like a 10 list of ones I'd never heard of. And they all have these weird, that's got to be somebody's job. Like the same person who comes up with the names of colors for paint has to also come up with names for sexual fetishes.
I'm doing the William Sonoma job to pay the bills, but really, my passion's really in.
I found it. It's emetophilia, emetophilia, the fetish of getting aroused by watching someone vomit.
You know what I also like is phobias. Like, phobias are almost as awesome as fetishes, because sometimes people are, like, afraid of the color white.
Okay, I just found another weird one. Plushophilia.
Yeah. You're into stuffed animals.
Plushophiliacs, they're just people who are into stuffed animals. Yep. It's weird. So that's been a thing. Like, I had this happen only once, where I was dating a girl, saw her bedroom, and there were a lot of too many stuffed animals for a woman of that age.
Yeah.
A little creepy. Okay, so Nikki, I don't know what you thought of that first segment, but do you have any phobias or fetishes?
I definitely have fetishes. My basic fetishes are rope bondage and fornophilia.
What's fornophilia?
Fornophilia is the fetish of taking humans and turning them into basically objects, specifically furniture. Wow,
so you would have like a dude, maybe like sort of kneel over, and you would sort of rest your legs like he's an ottoman, a human ottoman.
If I wanted to be pedestrian about it, yes, but I would...
You would do something more, okay.
That's a little more sinister.
That's my 101. Ooh, well, what's the sinister?
Well, I have something I call the rocking chair, where I get my submissive or slave on their elbows and their kneecaps. I do this by tying them in a chicken wing tie on the arms and what's called a frog tie on the legs. Google it. Wow. I sit them on their axis points, I guess, with their ass in the air. Typically, they're going to have an anal plug, or as we like to use, an anal hook, which is connected to a string running up their back and is connected to a hook through their nose, which kind of arches their back and their head up and back. I'm trying to do it, but you guys can't really see what I'm doing.
Well, you'd probably have to Google that. And so that you're not going to do a lot of dancing in that position. You're pretty much stuck.
No, I call it the rocking chair because I like to take them by the hips and rock them back and forth, or use them as an ottoman and rock my feet back and forth with my feet. Okay,
can I tell you, I'm going to admit I don't know if I have any phobias. For me, not so much. I have some weird phobias. I'll talk about that on a different podcast. But in terms of fetishes, I have, I will indulge in some adult films that I find on the internet. And the one particular genre that I really like is bossy MILF. I know that sounds weird, but it's like basically like most of these videos are not even like, I mean, there's sex in it, but like it's usually just a lot of talking, and it's usually a girl that's like mad at you. And she's really mad at either you in a POV sense or in a mad at the person in the video. So they're just like angry. And I find that that's a great, I like those types of videos. At the same time, I find that like, that's not exactly what I would want to seek in a relationship, because after a while, someone that doesn't work. That could be good for a night, like a fetish, something you can like, oh, let's explore this fun thing. Okay, back to normal life. And there's definitely a whole thing of like, people who are 24/7. Explain 24/7.
Now, see, that is definitely a concept. For most people, I think they use the fetish as the little spice on here and there. They'll put on the hat, so to speak, and then take it off and go back to their reality. That way it doesn't get old, because even kink can get old, ladies and gentlemen, bringing us to 24/7 relationships, which are very hard work. You're basically in mode all times. For some people, it's just the way that they are. For others, it's very strict and Gorian. Gorian is a very strict, protocol-based lifestyle, which has a huge fetish following.
I've never heard of this. Explain it.
It is amazing. There are several positions just to describe how a slave should sit in different various situations. And it's very specific which position goes with what situation.
And if I screw up, will I be punished?
Absolutely. And probably in the most painful, humiliating fashion ever.
All right. Well, I'll just say that a 24/7 bossy MILF thing would probably end poorly. It would probably end. Okay. All right. So let's listen to more. Back to the, thank you, Nikki. This is a great commentary. I love this. I'm learning stuff, and I've looked at everything on the internet, and Nikki Nefarious is really schooling me. All right, back to the S&M Rants.
So about these fucktards we're going to talk about, except this is way more interesting.
This is like totally.
Let's keep going with this. I know I saw those fucktard stories, but I know I'm just curious, like on like stuff that you guys talk about, and because this is stuff that's like interesting to me, because I'm doing this animated show called Fetishville, and I've always been fascinated with that kind of thing. I mean, I remember when I was a kid very vividly seeing kind of an innocuous film, and a woman was wearing garters, and that just really threw me. I was just like, whoa, that was like such a turn on. And this is, of course, before the internet. So,
yeah, me too. We've all existed before the internet.
Yeah, exactly. I came from an age when you had to imagine things in your head to jerk off. That is how long ago.
I hear you, man.
No, me too, man.
I hear you.
Me too. And when, I would try to catch, like, in Quebec, I grew up obviously in Montreal, and late at night, like 2 a.m. on the French stations, they would have some completely soft corn shit. Soft corn.
Soft corn. Soft corn shit. Now that is a fetish, and oh my god.
Soft corn. Soft corn has to be a fetish. Let's Urban Dictionary that.
Oh my god. But yeah, I remember like just waiting till 2 a.m., staying up just to be able to see some porn.
I remember there was a station called On TV in Detroit, and it was a station that like, it was sort of, this is the precursor. This is before cable. You rented this box which showed movies, but it only showed it on like this regular channel in the evenings. Well, before I even was able to afford it and had this box, you could turn to that channel, but everything was wavy, but you just, every half second or 1 second, you'd catch a sort of a flash frame of whatever was being broadcast.
Yeah, I used to do that.
And you would see, like, you're sitting there watching this fuzzy black and white image with just like, I saw a boob.
Yeah, just for that 1 second, hey?
That 1 second.
Gotta take my piece out now.
I was like 11, 12 years old at the time, and I remember just being like, oh my God. Okay, I'm back with Nikki Nefarious, who is listening to the S&M Rants, my appearance on the S&M Rants recently. I'm curious, I have very specific memories of like things I saw that really turned me on as a kid. Even like certain images. I remember finding Playboys under the bed, probably a bad place to hide stuff. But do you have like a memory of the first thing you saw that really turned you on, whether it be an image in a magazine or whether it be like something on television? Tell me.
I can't remember the name of it, but when I was younger, we came across some soft-core porn in the back of the video store. It was basically a bunch of preteen sort of college girls doing this co-ed party. They ended up literally doing the pillow fight scene that I think every guy sort of fantasizes about at one point. And I realized at that point that, oh my God, these chicks are hot and I'm digging on it.
Wow. Yeah, it's hard to, when you say something like that, really, you're kind of, I'm speechless.
Yeah, it kind of surprised me too.
But I think that people, well, they say that like, I mean, I've heard that people who were spanked as a kid, this is almost like a statistic, like 100% of people who were spanked as a kid enjoy spanking as part of, their sexual life as adults. Is that true? I've heard it's almost 100% if people are honest.
I do find that to be very, very common with people that I work with, indeed.
Wow, I'm learning so much. Okay, back to the S&M Rants.
All right, we're gonna get you back on our fucktard track, if that's okay with you, is it?
Sure.
Let's start with the three guys that decided to set a place on fire and then call 911 on themselves.
Well, first of all, complete morons. But it's one of those things when you say fucktard of the week, I think fucktard of when I just turned my TV on. It reminds me of the Darwin Awards. I mean, in this case, these guys didn't die, but I mean,
they should.
They really should. I mean, it's just the whole thing. It just proves to me, like both of these stories, that like that Idiocracy, that the film that Mike Judge made,
yes,
is alive and well today. I mean, it's like I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember just people being this dumb and not thinking things through. And it's not like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, not like one of them. It's just like the three of them. They got their heads together and said, okay, what do we do? Well, we'll just call. This is what we'll have to call. I mean, that's why I guess you have to really like when you watch any sort of fictional movie and you see these mastermind criminals, you don't have to be too bright to be a mastermind. The bar is set pretty low when it comes to real criminals. I mean, the real criminals, to me, they just run corporations. You know what I mean? They figure out a way to legally steal stuff and just avert the law or pay lobbyists to change the laws to make it legal to do fucked up shit all around the world. The real morons, these criminals, I mean, these guys they're just small time.
Do you think the glow of the vending machine was just too much for them to resist?
It must have been. I don't know what. Yeah, I feel like there was more to that story. I mean, there's definitely more to the story where something happened. What was the motivation? What was the money for? It's like I always think when someone's committing a crime, it's like, why do they need that? Are they paying off a debt? Are they paying rent? Do they just want the new thing that just came out from Apple? Like, what is the motivation for said crime? And there's got to be just more to that story, but it's usually just bad decision making. On the spot, bad decision making, thinking this is so easy, I'll get away with it.
Wouldn't it be great if they were in debt for like drug smuggling or something like that, and then they've got like the drug
student loans.
Right?
That's gotta be student loans.
What a solution. But they've got like the drug dealer's got like one of the girlfriends hostage, and then this is their plan to get the money. We need to get her back. How do we do it? Crack some vending machines.
Although I should admit something, that this is coming from someone who, when I lived in Detroit and when I was going to school, I went to Wayne State University in Detroit. One time I was driving back from school, came back to my car. It's like 10 p.m. at night, and I noticed that the non-functioning parking meter that was next to my car, it was not only non-functioning, it was sort of coming out of the ground. You know how the ground will kind of shift and you see like broken sidewalk, whatever. This parking meter was sticking out of the ground in a weird way. And I was like, I wonder if I could. And I started bending it back and forth, till it finally popped and fell right out of the cement. I grabbed it and I threw it in the back of my car and I drove it home. And I had that thing for years. It was sort of one of those, pop culture oddities in the corner.
Yeah.
I could never get the thing open. Never. In fact, I had a relative come over once and just like pounding on it with a sledgehammer. You could not open the thing. There's no way. I finally ended up selling it at a yard sale just because it was such a pain in the ass to every time I was moving from one apartment to the other in California. But it made it all the way out from Detroit to California. It was one of those things that was like in my office forever and kind of in my bedroom. Like, it was just like this weird, why do you have a parking meter? I don't know. So I've done stupid stuff. Okay, I'm back sitting here with Nikki Nefarious now. We're listening to the S&M Rants with you. Nikki, I don't know I don't know what that dumb story I told has anything to do with S&M.
I don't know. I think it's pretty badass, though. I had no idea you would be that kind of person to, pilfer a parking meter and then just lug it around. I think that's pretty awesome, actually.
I think it's awesome that you said pilfer a parking meter because that's alliteration, as is your name, Nikki Nefarious.
I like alliteration.
Alliteration is great. Stan Lee's a big fan of that.
Yes.
Peter Parker, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Fantastic Four. Okay, we're talking about nerdy things now. But so I'm curious, is there something to, like, in the fetish world? I mean, obviously there's almost and who was I talking to who said that, like, in order for sex to be really enjoyable, there has to be some level of shame involved. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. This is bad what I'm doing. That makes me like it even more. Is there something with, like, putting yourself in a bad situation that makes it actually more exciting? Because that's kind of a lot of what, BDSM and fetish culture is about. And I mean in a positive way, because there's agreement among everyone. It's almost like, I do shows with improv comedians at IO West, and they're doing improv on stage to get laughs. I feel like, in a way, fetish culture is kind of like improv for sex. I'm serious.
I like that, actually.
It's like improv for sex, because you're
Improv
sitting here.
for sex.
I can't tell you how many times I've, like, been with a girl intimately, whispered it in her ear, things that are dirty that I know she wants to hear, but I'm doing improv. It's just I'm not trying to get laughs. I'm trying to turn her on. Does that make sense to you?
That really actually makes a hell of a lot of sense. I'm going to use that. I think that is clever as hell.
Use that in your teaching. I think it's because I really think, like, the one thing that look, I may not be the best looking guy. I may not be the buffest in terms of, like, when my clothes are off. I'm a little doughy. I have a doughy. I'm not
That's
whatever.
not true.
I'm an average guy. Whatever. But the one thing is why my secret power is I can write and I can talk and I can occasionally be funny. And so that, I think, is always saved. It's my one. I can talk dirty to a girl. I'm going to admit it. I can talk dirty to a girl, and I can make stuff up on the fly, and I can make up some scenario and stuff. And they've said, I'm told that, and I'm not going to say anything I'm saying is a fact because I'm not a professional, but you're a professional, Nikki Nefarious. But I've said that women are into oral sex more than even oral sex. By oral, I mean
Yes.
AURAL, like audio. Like, men are visual. Women like to hear things. They like to hear when you say something. Like, that's why every time I've begun almost every argument that I've ever had with a woman I'm in a relationship with she says this. It's not what you said, it's the tone.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I'm not the only guy who's heard that.
No, it's so true. I will actually get turned on by a good conversation. It's happened. But I do want to go back to something you said earlier.
Sure.
And I think that you are right. It's pretty common that there is some form of shame when it comes to fetish things. But if I may, can I tell you a story?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm going to take you guys back, way back. I was dating this guy. We were pretty serious. We were in grade school, maybe 14, 15. Mm-hmm. And all of my friends were experimenting with intercourse. And I was a good little Christian girl, so that was not going to happen. My boyfriend and I went to church camp together. I mean, seriously.
Can I stop you for a second and say, little Christian, that's cute. You probably had a schoolgirl outfit, I'm going to guess.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
okay. At that age, though, not, but
no,
you probably
absolutely.
kept it, and it probably still fits. But anyway.
Yes, it's different now.
Right.
So we wanted to kind of take our relationship to the next level. However, I still wanted to keep control of the situation, so I took the ties and the belts that he would, interestingly enough, wear to church and tie his appendages to the bunk bed, and we would just kind of heavy pet for a while. And for me, it was a way of taking control of the situation so that I could explore my sexuality and still be a good girl and not commit any sins in the eyes of the Lord.
it's in a way you performed your own inquisition.
Absolutely.
So it's very church-going of you. Okay, all right, thank you, Nikki. That's an amazing story. Wow. Back to the S&M Rants. I'm pretty sure that, like, if you're a smart criminal, you don't carry, first of all, you don't carry ID, A. And then B, if you do carry ID, it's something fake. I don't think that Bruce Wayne, when he's dressed as Batman, carries around ID. He does.
If you commit a crime, like, shouldn't you be decked out in, like, everything? Like, your shirt, this shirt should have your name.
You know, a headshot with your address on it.
Your sweater's your university sweater. You got your medical alert bracelet on.
Yeah, no, it's. I really feel that, like, that guy has to be the dumbest because he really put it out there. Not only had the bag with the ID in it, but then also, like, went so far as to try to actually make a trade. It's like, dude, even if I'm trading this, you're going to get caught. Because we already know who you are. It's like, actually, a buddy of mine, this just happened recently, where he was mugged and they stole his iPhone. So he's going up to his apartment. He's got 2 bags full of groceries, both his hands. Guy comes up, just says, "What do you got? Give me took his wallet and his iPhone." Comes to find out, like, that guy looks familiar. He lives in his apartment building.
Yeah, I don't understand that stuff. I've heard of these kind of stories before. You're like, you don't mug people in your own building. Isn't that a basic rule?
These are, you know what these are? These are the community college version of criminals. Because again, they're so lazy. They're like, I don't want to care. I don't want to do some master crime that would involve planning or thinking. I'm just going to give me your iPhone and money. I'm good. But the guy lived 2 doors down from him and in the same apartment. It was insane. So just, I don't know, that whenever you read about stuff like that, it's like, look, these guys they're more of a threat to themselves than anyone else.
This guy, apparently, he's your winner.
Yeah, although what do you really win? You're an idiot.
Yeah. You win a title. You win the honor. You win us talking about you and saying you, sir, are so fucktarded. You have surpassed other fucktards. There are many, many fucktards in the world. You are a clear winner this week. That's some dubious honor.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so that's it for this week's Crash, the S&M Rants. I really want to thank Monica Hamburg and Shane Burley. You can check them out at rantmehard.com. They're also on Twitter at rantmehard. And you can like the S&M Rants on Facebook. Nikki, what did you think of that last segment, all the stuff that we talked about? People are definitely pretty stupid, and I'm loving the idea of judging the fucktards. I think this is brilliant, and there should be more of these out there. Now, I'm curious, like with now, look, there's a lot of stupid people in this world, but they can get a lot smarter if they take one of your classes. Absolutely. How can they find out about that? Like, tell me about, where can they find more information about your courses that you teach? Go to MissNikkiNefarious.com, and you can find out all the information you need right there. And it's Nikki Nefarious. Yep. MSNIKKI Nefarious. And I'll tweet that out on the PodCRASH Twitter. And thank you, everyone, for listening to the show today. We talked about some really sensitive topics, but I think in almost an adult way, which I think would not have happened if you were not here, because Nikki Nefarious, you are a professional. Why, thank you. And thank you for being on the show. Thank you for having me. Oh, it's great. And the S&M Rants, those guys are great. Thank you for them. You can follow me at that Chris Gore on Twitter. You can follow the show at PodCRASH Show. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/PodCRASH. And go to iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. It helps other people discover the show. And I have one last thing to say before I because I'm going to be tied up later. Ha-ha. Here we go. Ready? Let's get out of here.
I do love you. And there is something very important that we need to do as soon as possible. What's that?
If you're still listening to this, then you're probably a lot like me. You're the kind of person who's really curious in the bedroom, and you probably go to places on the internet that you definitely shouldn't. You and I are a lot alike. I like you. For that, you shall be rewarded. Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to PodCRASH with that Chris Gore, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036, and I will return the envelope with a surprise. And if you keep listening past this, you'll get a very special piece of bonus audio. Later.
What are we doing here?
Okay, sir, we're engaged in procuring your tattoo.
Welcome to the Identity Processing Program of America. Please insert your forearm into the forearm receptacle. Thank you. Please speak your name as it appears on your current federal identity card. Document number G24L8.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if...
You have entered the name Not Sure. Is this correct? Not Sure.
No, it's not correct.
Thank you. Not is correct. Is Sure correct?
No, it's not. My name is
Already
Joe...
confirmed. Your first name is Not. Please confirm your last name. Sure.
My last name is Not Sure. Oh,
Thank you.
no, what I mean is
Sure.
that my name is
Confirmation
Joe...
is complete. Please wait while I tattoo your new identity on your arm.
Wait a second. Can we start over? Can I cancel this? Can we cancel this and just go back to the beginning? They're going to Ow! Could I speak to your supervisor?
Please hold still for your photograph.
Okay, sir, now we will begin to proceed to obtain your IQ and aptitude tests.
What for?
Okay, sir, this is to figure out what your aptitude's good at and get you a jail job while you're being a particular individual in jail.